Getting up in the morning, something quite important if you want to be a serious composer, can be very difficult at times, especially in the winter months when it's really cold and dark outside and you rather feel like snuggling up in your bed. But let's use this to your advantage. How about getting up and see what is the weather like today? Can I capture that with my music? So no matter what weather it's out there, rainy or snowing or dark or really awful, just go out a minute, feel alive, get that inspiration, and then go home and create something out of it. If you follow my channel, you probably heard me say a few times that I really enjoy the sound of guitar. Probably because I grew up with it and I don't play it very well. So I always love it when I find out about libraries that can do guitar quite well. And I recently found out about a new library that can do electric guitar really well, but not rock style, more sort of atmosphere. And I've covered a few of these libraries before, but I think this one is quite special in its simpleness, but also really complex and beautiful sounds. I often talk about the importance of having a good GUI, or interface as I call it, with your virtual instrument. It needs to be inspiring, but also easy to get around. I find that some companies really do this a little bit too much. It's all colors and cool stuff, and you tend to get a little bit lost in what you're actually doing. It's not so much about the sound, it's more about the cool interface. Now and then there's the other way, like performance samples, when they do nothing with the interface. Still sounds very good though. But I think it's nice to have somewhere in between. And I think Fracture Sounds, with their Hemisphere, has really nailed it. It's a really clean, simple interface. When you open it up, you feel there's nothing to it, and you just start to play. But you quickly realize that everything you need is actually on this right view, and it's very simple to change things around to make it into the sound that you want. Let's take a deeper look into the Hemisphere UI and also how it sounds. Alright, so just immediately when you load it up, it sounds great and it's very easy to play. You might have noticed I'm controlling here the atmosphere intensity. And that is kind of like a volume knob for these atmosphere sounds here. Now, they're always on here. You can turn them off. If you play here, for example, you can hear that they are in the background. But if I move the model here, I will have more of those sounds. So basically you have the raw guitar sound here and up to 3 different pads, you can say. I think these sounds are created by guitars, but they're very, very beautiful. And you don't have just these 3, you can actually change them here by clicking. And let's listen to some of those atmosphere sounds. So just to give you a brief feel for what those sounds are, I find that everything works perfectly almost all the time, and it's very easy to create a mix with up to 3 sounds there. And what else do we have? Well, we have the color wheel here. Now, this is not DaVinci Resolve. It's a very simple EQ that is very handy. So if you have a sound, the original one here. Now, you might want that to be even more dark and dull. Or you want it a little bit brighter. So it's very easy to dial that in. Then we have the transient emphasis, and it's better than a transient shaper, I would say, because you can make it into shorter notes, like that. It's not shorter, but the attack is so prominent that it feels more like a comp guitar if you go all the way. And if you go almost all the way down, you get more of a padding effect that guitars do with their volume control. down here we have a few plugins, you could say, that change the sound. Well, the first one is just fret noise, and here you can change it to be auto or manual. There's just a fret sound popping in now and then, making the whole thing sound a little bit more realistic. Then we have this lo-fi here, which are really nice. I'm actually gonna go and set this all to 0, so you can hear them all individually. But you also have different speakers, which is really creative and really fun. But I'm gonna set it to none right now, so you don't hear that. Let's put this effect to maximum, and let's just try them out here. So the age, little pop there when it turns off. Then we have saturation, warmer until it distorts. Then warble. You can go all the way, but I find that if you put it just right there, it just creates that warmness. Maybe it's because I was brought up in the 80s and I'm used to sort of cassette decks. Then we have hiss, which is exactly what it sounds like. And then the same thing with buzz. And also mechanical. So it's not just a degrader of sounds. Then we have a delay. We have 2 tape and modern. And then we also have a reverb, room, hall, plate, and also a shimmer, which is quite special. Let's try this. But there's one more thing here actually, and it's the guitar tone, and this is obviously quite important. Not only can you dial things in here with the color and transient, for example, you can actually change the sound. And we just tried the delicate one, which is one of my favorite. But let's try the clean one. Excuse my piano voicings, guitarists out there. And let's try girthy. Let's try sparkle. Or new age or 80s music. No, it's a very nice sound actually. And we have quite a few there. Let's try clean harmonics. That one actually works quite well for comping if you want to do rhythmic stuff, unless you're using the transient emphasis, obviously. You can also change the filter, so if you want a bassier sound, or maybe less bassy. Or the same thing if you want a more muddled sound, a little bit warmer. But not only that, you also have timbre shift, which, the way I see it, functions like the switch on the guitar, you know, when you can change the mics on the guitar. So you get quite a different sound here. Yeah, it really changes the sound. And then the air is definitely a widener. And then let's turn it off. One more thing though. Fracture Sounds were very kind to send me this plugin, but they're not sponsoring me. But I was so intrigued by this simple approach and the quality, that I went out and checked out some other instruments. And they have a few pianos, and one of them that I really liked was this Woodchester piano. Very beautiful, simplistic, soft piano sound with excellent pads on top. Very similar concept to the Hemisphere. I just wanted to show you that one as well. So what's the verdict on this library? Well, obviously you've already figured out that I really like this library. I mean, I went out and bought the Woodchester piano for my own money. So anyway, let's go back to the guitar. This is hands down the best cinematic guitars on the market today. If you consider the quality of sound, ease of use, the UI, how easy it is to play,
and also the price. Nothing beats this. There are other great cinematic libraries out there for sure, but they cost much more. And one thing also I find that other libraries and other libraries in general tend to sometimes have this approach of infinite amount of possibilities, which looks cool. You have all these toys and tweaks, but they tend to distract you. Here in this library, I find that everything works towards the sound in a great way. It just adds to it, and you're not overwhelmed with so many different possibilities. One thing I nitpick about a little bit is that it tends to be a little bit mid-range heavy, but that's also because guitar is mid-range heavy. I mean, if you play big chords on the piano, you tend to get a lot of build up there in the mid-range. You can always tweak that in the UI or with an EQ. There are no articulations in the library, which you might want to think about. Guitars usually need that, but if you play in the cinematic guitar style, there's usually not a problem. The dynamic velocity layers are great, and the fret noises that come in now and then also help the realism quite a bit. If you need a cinematic guitars, this is the one to get. So anyway, that's it for this review. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you want to help me out, you can support me by hitting a like button. That's always great. You can watch more of my videos. You can subscribe if you want to make sure you don't miss any of my new videos coming out. And you can also become a patron if you want to go all the way and support me even further so I can create more content for you and also more courses. Until next time, take lots of care and make sure to write a lot of music.